Why is it that your property manager is taking so long or just plain won't find you a Section 8 tenant? It's so obvious, all the reasons why Section 8 is superior right now to cash paying tenants in so many different ways. So I will get into the answer in this video, but first I'm going to address the elephant in the room because I know you want to know why. If you've been following me for a while, you know I have been making a course called Manage It Yourself, and I will give you an update on what's going on in the course and what's in it. And actually, if you listen to that, you're going to see why it's going to make more sense to you why property managers aren't doing what you wish that they would do. And you could do it better yourself anyway. So if you want to just skip right to why your property manager isn't finding you a Section 8 tenant, go to the right below this line here, our chapters. You can skip ahead and not listen if you don't have any morbid curiosity why I have this thing on my nose. So first I'll tell you why this thing's on my nose. It's because of sun. And this is an early detection and they caught it and they took it out. But honestly, there is like a big gash of skin, like the skin off the side of my nose on this side is missing. It's so much is gone and it's like this massive crater. And if I were you, I would look at the date of this video and see if there's any future videos so you can see how it turned out, or subscribe. And so you can see how this thing turns out, because it's not like I can live with a Band-Aid. I get to go without the Band-Aid in February and I'm making this in January. I have no idea how this thing's gonna heal. I'm fine, it doesn't hurt. It was skin cancer, they got it all out. Don't worry about me, but definitely go to your dermatologist. And guys in the waiting room, it was all the guys on their ears, and it was all the driver's side where we all had to have the sun damage removed. Interesting. So the update on my course, I've been telling you it launches in January. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't have it ready by January 1st. So I said, okay, January 15th. Well, January 15th came around. There's so much I'm adding to it. I just keep making it better and better. So what you could do is look at the link below. You'll see all the stuff that's in my course, and it's for the do-it-yourselfer, or it's for somebody who's been burned by a property manager, as in you can't get them to put a Section 8 tenant in your house. You could just do it better yourself if you just knew how. And one of the things that I teach in my course is how to interview Section 8 tenants, and there's a whole science to it. So if you go to the link below, or as of right now, I don't have the link because I'm having all these technical difficulties at the end of my course doing stuff like links. Email me or go to the link. I will send you a free downloadable of my questionnaire that I asked them on the phone. It's a great questionnaire, but in my course, there's a 45-minute training about the questionnaire to really go deep into why you're asking each question and what kind of answers you're looking for. But the questionnaire will help you anyway. Right now, I am in a house that my husband and I are in the business of flipping houses, and this is a house that we bought, we renovated, and then we sold it to an owner. We had a property management company from 2015 to 2020, and then when we sold the property management contracts, it ended up with a different property manager. And check out this video of what he did. At this house, the other property manager really charged an enormous amount to the owner, and the owner got so burnt out that he sold the house. And when we sell houses, they're either houses we just renovated or they're like this one, and it was vacant at the time the owner bought it, and part of our deal was we'll get you through a Section 8 inspection. So that's what's happening right now. Today, an inspector is coming, so you don't have to watch me with this Band-Aid on my nose. I'm gonna let you see the tour of this house, and we have other houses for sale as well. To answer the question, what is taking so long, or why is your property manager refusing? Let's just start at the beginning. First of all, they have to list the house, and when they list the house, it has to be for a Section 8 tenant, and a lot of people don't realize that you can say Section 8 only on your ads, and it eliminates a lot of the extra calls. And so your property manager is probably getting a lot of extra calls of cash paying tenants. They probably think because of source of income discrimination that they're not allowed to say Section 8 only on their ads, but people without Section 8 are not a protected class, so actually you can say that on the ad. And then they might not have that free downloadable questionnaire I just told you about, where you ask all the appropriate questions before you even show them the house to see if they're even qualified, if their voucher will even cover the rent that you're asking for at the house. A lot of times it's hard to get all those answers, and they might not get all those answers until later and then find out that the tenant was never even qualified. So they list the house, they are limited to who they can rent it to, so that right there takes longer. Let's say they do find a Section 8 tenant and they get through the background check. They have to know how to do a background check on a Section 8 tenant. That's something that I go through in my course. It's a little different. You're not really looking at income as much with a Section 8 tenant when a lot of their income is from the government. That's more where the source of income discrimination comes from, is that property managers say, well, you have to make triple the income or I can't rent to you, and that's not allowed with the source of income laws, because they have to consider that the Section 8 portion that Section 8 is paying for rent is part of their income. For a Section 8 tenant to make 3 times, it just doesn't happen. So it gets confusing for property managers. So they get somebody, they do the background check. Let's say they did know how to do that part. They get through that part. Then they have to fill out the paperwork, which means that it's another trip for them to go meet the tenant and get the paperwork and get it all signed, because a lot of Section 8 offices require wet signatures. Then they turn it into Section 8. It takes about a week or 2 weeks to hear back when your inspection date is, and sometimes there's some follow-up required, so that takes a little bit more expertise right there. And then you have the inspection. So they come out and they inspect, and it's quite typical to not pass the first inspection. But a property manager doesn't want to explain to you why it failed the inspection, because it makes them look bad. You know, you think you've got a completely beautiful house. It was beautiful when they thought they were going to have a cash tenant, right? And then all of a sudden they look bad because it failed an inspection. They don't want to expose that to you. So let's say now there's a second inspection. More than likely there's 2 inspections. So there's another week. The inspections are typically a week apart, and they should pass the second inspection because you get the list at the first inspection what the inspector is after. Okay, so now they pass, the tenant moves in, move-in parts, that's kind of normal. Now they have to communicate with Section 8, and now Section 8 might be asking for more documentation. They want the paid off water bill. It's Detroit Housing Commission that asks for the paid off water bill here in Detroit anyway. And there's a whole big water mess that if your property manager didn't clear that up before this, that you're in trouble, because you probably have some mystery water bill you didn't know about, or when you bought the house. If you don't have my course, you might not know how to buy a house where you're not inheriting a big bad water bill, because I go into depth a lot in that, because it is really difficult working with the water department here in Detroit. Even if you're not in Detroit, there's plenty of great Section 8 stuff in my course that you'll find very helpful. So then they're waiting for all the paperwork to get through, to get processed, and it depends on which housing commission it is when you get paid. I mean, you should get paid the first of the following month if you're working with a good housing commission. If it's a backed up housing commission, which there's a lot of that going on, it could be 1 to 4 months before that first check comes in, and you're asking your property manager to do a whole lot of follow-up emails and phone calls like, where is that money and why have you not gotten it yet? And then once the tenant is in, it's more tracking. It's like double the accounting, because they have to track the Section 8 payment and they have to track the tenant's payment. So when your property manager's like, hey, I found this cash paying tenant, that's why. It was a whole lot of extra work. So obviously my solution is manage it yourself. I can teach you the whole process. You could do it yourself. That way you get your Section 8 tenant in. Once that money is coming, you shouldn't get that many phone calls unless, there's just a few repair calls. All you need is one person here that's your boots on the ground that knows how to do handyman stuff. You might need a leasing agent here to help you show the house. I show you all that stuff in my course, how to find those kind of people. So that's my recommendation. Thank you for watching.